Thank you so much for your time. You've had some badass roles in the past. How does Sergeant Koyama kind of compare?
I appreciate that. I would say, if to use your words, badass. Sergeant Coyama is the ultimate badass. A it's it's always been a dream of mine to play a police officer and to interrogate other guys. I'm not going to say criminals or bad guys, but I usually, throughout my past in the industry, I find myself on that side of the spectrum, so to speak, in these characters I play. So, the fact that I am the team leader of the drug enforcement team of Long Beach PD, I'm not dressed in your typical blues. I'm in streetwear, kind of an undercover look with the tactical equipment on. I mean, that right there would make anyone feel like a badass, I think, but more importantly, I just wanted to represent accurately and give honor and praise to the real peace officers out there that allow us to live our lives in the safety and protection that we are able to do every day. And for me to do this job, Long Beach PD has been more than gracious to open their facilities up to us and their officers, doing ride-alongs and whatnot. So, having all those experiences, I just wanted to filter their badassness through the character. And so if you consider me in that category, then that's a win for me. So I appreciate that.
Hey, all right. So what kind of training did they let you do there? Did they let you, of course, like the ride-alongs, like a week long of like, tough training or
Yeah, so first, most important for me was the ride-alongs, just because it wasn't so much to see the environment. I'm actually originally from the South Bay, so Long Beach has always been in my backyard. And having grown up down there, and now that I live in downtown Los Angeles, it was cool to go back, and to see how it's changed, how it hasn't changed. And so, doing a ride-along, you get to see all demographics. They took me to all neighborhoods. And that's one thing I'm super excited about this show is that it's going to show the world what Long Beach really is. We've seen LA, millions of times, but I think the world really doesn't know how different and how opposite Long Beach can be. You have so many different areas, you have so many different ethnicities, so many different cultures. And so to be in a ride along with two of these amazing officers, shout out to them. It was so real, and it gave me a front seat to really what's going on. And that carried over literally to the first scene you meet Sergeant Koyama in. It was the scene that everyone will see me get introduced in the show. I experienced that in a ride along weeks before. So I mean, that was a huge benefit right there. As far as the tactical training, I had an opportunity to go and play, so to speak, and learn a lot from Taran Tactical. And Taran is an OG guy. He does all of the John Wick movies. And basically, anytime there's a gun or a weapon or a military or police show, guaranteed they've gone through Taran. And so, having had the opportunity to work with him on his farm and really dial in specifics, I really wanted to capture. I want every police officer, any law enforcement to watch my character and be like, oh, I believe him. I believe he's got 20 years in the game. I believe he's a trained veteran, team leader, so to speak. So I really dialed in and focused, obviously on the shooting and the accuracy, but more on the technical parts, drawing, loading, holstering, those kind of things. And just acting like I've done this for the last 20 something years, which obviously I haven't. So to me, that's always the pet peeve that I have with characters that I play is that I need you, the real guy, to believe me. And so shout out to Long Beach PD, shout out to Taran. They really got me right for the show, and I appreciate that.
thing. So you mentioned you grew up in the South Bay. We're about in the South Bay.
So I'm born so I'm half Japanese. Actually, that's where the Koyama name comes from. It's my mom's maiden name. We're honoring and respecting my Japanese heritage, and so all the Japanese are from like the Torrance, South Bay area. You know,
Gardena.
yeah, exactly. My shout out my mom. She went to Gardena High. She was prom queen. Shout out Gardena. So but that's back in the day. And so my Japanese relatives, my grandparents were actually born in the US and then interned with the Japanese Americans during the war. So
Hmm.
I'm just really proud to represent, for them and to represent from my home hood. You know what I'm saying? Like I went to high school in the Bay, but I've always repped the South Bay, and so that's why this show it's a little bit of a full circle thing for me.
Uh,
I'm getting to
that's
honor and pay respects to a lot of things that are very close and personal.
absolutely. I'm from Pedro myself, so
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what's up, man. All right,
yeah.
cool to meet a fellow South Bay. Yeah.
Absolutely. Saying that, with like you being a fourth generation Asian American, like how does that feel to like kind of represent us within like the South Bay and everything?
Oh man, it's everything, people ask me like, like we're talking about right now, kind of my most iconic roles that I feel are the biggest roles to me personally. And by far this is, and I'm not just saying because it's the most current, this is by far the biggest win for me because I feel that not only am I playing myself, but I'm representing for all, and I'm so proud to do this for all Asian American law enforcement, officers, male, us men, right? Because I'm sure like there's a ton of us that are police officers, detectives in all different levels, that work for the government, even, in the federal level. And we never see these guys. We never see that real, visceral, masculine Asian American cop, or police officer or detective, or drug enforcement team leader, for example, and they're out there. I see them when I leave the house. You know what I mean? I have relatives and extended family that are in law enforcement that we just never get that representation on screen. And
Yeah.
so to play one character finally and in all family in a Dick Wolf show, to say the least, right? That's finally rated R, and we get to talk a certain way, we get to show certain things that maybe you couldn't show on network television. I mean, this thing is huge, and I'm representing my family's name. As I've spoken to Tim Walsh, our creator, about this throughout the last couple of years and developing Tyson Koyama, my character. I often go back to him. I go, "Hey man, so what's the context with this?" Where he's like, "It's you, literally." So I'm literally playing myself in my fantasy world because when I was like, 5 years old, I wanted to be a police officer. You know what I mean? So it took a while, you know what I'm saying? But I
Yeah.
finally got there, and couldn't be more proud, like I said, to honor us Asian American men, but more importantly, to honor us Asian American law enforcement officers. And I'm hoping they watch it. I'm hoping they identify with it. And at the end of the day, if they're proud of what I'm able to do on behalf of all of us, then that's all I care about, to be honest.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Rich. That's my time. But thanks for representing us and hope you have a good one, man.
I appreciate you, man. Nice meeting you.
You too.